There's a lot of great trail cameras out there. I've run the Tacticams, and that's a great system, especially their cell cameras. I've run a lot of different brands that I've recommended to you guys in the past, but the right fit at the right time is the Spypoint trail cameras. I have a couple of the Flex G36s that are cell cams. They do a really good job for keeping track of everything that's going on my property, and I also have for, kind of out in the backcountry, I've got these Force Pros. Man, the picture quality on those Force Pros is just amazing. If you guys saw some of the bear pictures I was showing you during Spring Bear, that was a Force Pro. Really great cameras. I'm really excited that they chose to sponsor the show, because I've been using Spypoint for a long time, and I think you guys are going to be just as happy as I am with them. And check them out at spypoint.com and let them know the Western Huntsman sent you. Some of you might be old enough to remember back in the day when you can go to Walmart and get you a Savage rifle for very cheap. And they did a good job, but they weren't equipped for some of the hardcore hunting out there that we do today. If that's a memory that you have with Savage, like I do, I'm telling you, it's not like that anymore. Savage Arms is one of the premier firearms manufacturers dedicated to us hunters. I have this freaking Savage 110. It's the Apex Hunter, and this thing is amazing. I love the AccuTrigger. You can also get them with the AccuFit, which allows you to adjust the stock. So if you're buying them for youth hunters or whatever, or just, rifles fit you different. It's so flexible. It's so perfect for every hunter. It's just not the same Savage that it was 30, 40 years ago. It's a great firearm for everyday use while hunting, and they support hunters and they support this show, and I really appreciate Savage Arms. Check them out anywhere firearms are sold, or go to savagearms.com to find out more. There exists a threat, from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive, and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. Gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast. This is Jim Huntsman, your host, coming at you from the Broken Time studio in sunny Clark Fork, Idaho. And I got the AC running. It's funny, as we record these episodes, I go through the different seasons, and sometimes I'm blasting the furnace and the AC. But I do have some news to update regarding the old Broken Tines here. The Broken Time studios actually going to be moving to a new place, and I'm going to be talking about that in some upcoming episodes. But the lonely Broken Time studio right here that I'm sitting in now is going to be reverted back to my good old hunting trailer. And so I'm pretty excited about that, where I can, actually put some elk antlers on the wall and other things to have like a legitimate studio again. It's been a couple of years. So, anyways, I'll keep you guys posted on that. Guys, this week I've got somebody. This is going to be an interesting conversation, because I'm really excited about it. The guy I have on, we share the same last name, and so I think, I'm not even sure how we became friends, like on Facebook or something, way back in the day, Justin, where I don't know if I started following Huntsman's Goldens first, or if you and I just kind of found each other through like hunting forums. I don't remember, but either way, man, I appreciate you joining me.
Oh, for sure, man. Thanks for having me. I want to say it was the Goldens thing. I know my wife had said that, hey, we had another Huntsman like the page, and of course that's always going to pique my interest. So
that's exactly. By the way, do you guys do like return policy money back with this monster?
Anybody but you, you bet. Yeah, anybody but you. We'd be all over. No,
totally kidding.
They are such fun dogs, and it's so much fun. We get spoiled getting to do what we get to do on that. So
Dude, this
Yeah.
I obviously I'm a dog lover, right? And I've had a lot of dogs. Wyatt, which just for anybody listening, I guess that was 2 years ago, wasn't it? It was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yep.
We came down. I actually took a few days out of September archery elk season to come down and pick up this little 8-week-old puppy or whatever he was, and his name's Wyatt. You guys, if you follow us on or follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you've seen him in some of the videos and stuff. But man, this dog is a stud, man. I have never had a dog so smart. He's so smart. He's a pain in the ass because
that's the problem with them. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
They're
His
cool.
mom is the same way.
Really?
Yeah, the same way.
Yeah, I love it. He's a great dog. He just spent the day at the pond with us, and so he's like, I'm looking at him through the window. He's over there laying in the shade because I wore him out. So
yeah, and if I remember right, I think I gave you crap for that because I think I was hunting when you came down, and I said, "Well, I'm not going to come meet you, so good luck, and we'll talk later."
Yeah, I was all looking forward to meeting you, and it just didn't work out. You guys are in Idaho Falls, aren't you?
We are. Yep.
So for everybody that doesn't know who you are and what you do, and why I felt it was a good idea to get you on the show, because for those of you listening, Justin Huntsman is one hell of a bow hunter, and he's knocking them down and notching tags like a lot more than I do. And so I thought it would be super cool to get him on the show and just talk about archery hunting and bow hunting and hunting in Idaho and the West and everything else that we talk about. And hell, we'll talk about golden retrievers.
Yeah, heck yeah, man.
So for anybody that doesn't know you, kind of give us a down low on who you are and where you grew up and all that, and we'll go from there, brother.
So I'm an Idaho guy, born and raised. I grew up here in southeast Idaho. Just an absolute playground for a guy like me, whether it's chasing trout or steelhead or hunting anything that runs or moves or walks, or you know how the story goes.
Oh, yeah.
But I got into archery when I was about 2, which a lot of people can't believe, but I just had one of those stick bows, and the old man would shoot, and I'd stand right next to him and fling arrows for as long as I could. And started getting back into the competition aspect of archery when I was young, about 6, and shot until about 8 or 9. And then kind of got out of the archery scene on the competitive side more for winter skiing. Turned into a big ski bum, started living to do that. And
oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I was a ski patroller for 10 years at a local mountain here in southeast Idaho, and I loved it. I mean, it was something that I just loved doing. It was so much fun. But then I started getting those injuries that started affecting what I could do hunting, and that started slowing down real quick.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's and I'm sure you're the same way. It's nice having the last name that we do, but I mean, it just drives me. It's everything I think about. It's everything I do. It's just everything I do day to day is hunting.
Well, let me ask you this, man. Have you ever done like a lineage thing and like the origin of the last name Huntsman?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very lucky. I've got a grandma that family history is a huge deal to her. In fact, when she found out that I was doing this podcast, I'm supposed to get your dad's name and your mom's name so we can figure out exactly how we're related.
Yeah.
So she gave me a whole list of stuff I'm supposed to get. So,
well,
it's very cool.
It's super cool because the last name Huntsman is not, way common. It's not like you hear a lot. Some of these last names, it's like you feel like when you were in school, there was 20 of them in that school or whatever. When I'll put it into perspective, when I was in the Marines, there at that time, I don't know if this has changed or not, but in the Marines, they would generally have 270,000 Marines on the roster. At these are active Marines.
Yeah.
And there was only 2 Huntsmans, and I was one of them at the time.
That's nuts. Yeah.
And so it's not like a super common name. You know what I mean?
Well, and like I said earlier, when my wife had mentioned that you had liked the golden retriever thing, I was like, wait a second. Like, I know most of the Huntsmans around here, and I don't recognize that name.
Yeah.
So
you grew up.
It is super.
You guys, your family, you guys are all from Idaho Falls. I was going to say, we used to do our family reunions down there. It was in Rigby.
Yeah, so that's just north of us.
Yeah, but that was on my mom's side, so that wasn't the Huntsman side of it.
And my wife's actually from Rigby, so yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep. My wife is, and my mom is actually. My mom's actually from out there, so Yeah, my dad, most of our homestead is down the Shelley area, which is just south of Idaho Falls. And there's a lot of us down there, but that's where my dad grew up. And then I grew up here in Idaho Falls on the east side of town.
Nice.
And it was so much fun. It just a great place to grow up. I mean, we've got the South Fork right here. We've got whitetail hunting. We've got elk hunting, bear hunting, mule deer hunting. I mean, you can pretty much hunt anything within 2 hours of here that you can hunt anywhere else in the country. So it makes it a good time. And it's just a great place to live. It
really is, man. One of the, for my day job, I look at big commercial roofs, and Idaho Falls is one of the areas I sometimes visit. Because they have that INL down there. And they have insanity. It's like insanity, the amount of roofs they have. Anyway, I was coming out of there in December one year, and the most prolific group of bachelor bulls I've ever seen in my life was just north out of Idaho Falls, standing in a field. There was like six of them.
Those old sight bulls. We talk about them out there licking those containers and growing big. That's the only thing we can think of.
It's got to be it, man. Like the smallest one had to be like 270, and he was way smaller than the other ones.
Well, and they have that early desert hunt out there, and every year somebody arrows just a huge bull. I mean, just one of those, world class 350 plus bulls. Yeah, and they're always in full velvet, which is always so cool. So
interesting, cool.
Yeah.
So that's say that again. Is that like a tough tag to draw or something?
It's actually at least it used to be. It's not something I ever do, but it used to be an over-the-counter tag, and it was awesome. But it's just like everything else. It gets so much pressure now that I don't know if it's anywhere near what it used to be. Which, I mean, everybody's seeing that out west. That's kind of the normal thing nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. So are you like exclusively a bow hunter, or do you do any rifle or anything? Tell me a little bit about that.
So I do a little bit of rifle hunting, not like everybody else. I'll go kill an elk every once in a while with a rifle, but most of the time it's straight bow hunting. I just like that adrenaline rush that all bow hunters talk about that you get, and it's just something different. I mean, rifles are awesome. My kids hunt with rifles. I killed a bull at 2018 with a rifle, so I'm not afraid to pick up a rifle and go. I like killing stuff, so I'll go do whatever, But I just. Something about watching that arrow fly through the air, man. It's just an addiction you just can't get rid of.
It is, man. There is something that just, I don't know, it like sparks the soul, man. When that arrow, that sound of zoop, and it was, I don't know. I love rifle hunting. I'm not against rifle hunting or anything, and I do a lot of it, but I really do prefer the bow. And we were up bear hunting. You said you bear hunt, right?
I do. Yep.
Do you guys bait down there, or what do you guys do?
We do. Yeah, that's what we do. That's probably 95% of our hunting down here, just because it's thick enough timber. I mean, there's places you can go spot and stalk, but we just have enough bears, enough thick timber that baiting's just smart to do.
Yeah, it's like the only way up here in the jungle to really get them.
Yeah, we're nothing like you guys. Yeah, exactly.
But we were on the, what was that? It was like 2 weeks ago now at this point, because bear season just closed June 30th up here.
Same here.
And my daughter, the goal was this spring to get my daughter a bear, right? And she was just so excited. She's 14, and I take her up. We've got the rifle. I've got her this little 7mm 08.
Oh, perfect.
And we'd sighted it in like right after we got done turkey hunting, and it was all good. This bear comes into our bait site, and I mean, this was a busy bear site, bait site. We had tons of bears on the cameras, and I mean, I could post pictures on like Instagram for days with the pictures I've got. Anyway, this bear comes in. He's a nice bear too, probably 200 plus pounds. Decent bear, because again, North Idaho, there's tons of bears. We do get some big, just slobs, but they're pretty rare. I don't know.
Oh, and it's rare. That's just bears in general. Like people say that 20-inch bears are around every corner, and that's just not true. Like big bears are hard to find nowadays.
They are. I had two big bears come in on the bait site all season. That would have been 20-inch bears. The rest were all just, giant raccoons for the most part. But this bear comes in, and Shadow's all excited because I told her, I was like, don't look at me. Don't like wait for permission. Don't do anything. Just raise your rifle and make a good, clean shot. Right. And this is before we set up. So we're set up, And the way I was sitting, I didn't see the bear come, and she did. And she saw the bear, and all of a sudden she raises the rifle. I'm like, what's going on? And then I see the bear pop out of the brush, and he's going and licking the barrel and, looking around, and boom, she shoots. And it's almost as if I could see the bullet go right over his back.
Oh, no.
And that's abnormal because my daughter's a really good shot. I'm like, what the hell, man? The bullet hits a tree behind the bear. Bear turns around, trucks off down the mountain, never to be seen again. Actually, that's not true. He showed up like 2 days later. We come home and I sighted in her rifle again, and come to find out, she must have knocked the scope or something.
Oh, dang
it was shooting way high by like a few inches. So anyway, that was like the heartbreak of the spring bear season for me, man.
Oh, and I don't know if it's just me or not, but these last couple of years have been tough on us. We had a couple of years there that it was like almost easy. And I don't want to say easy because that's the wrong term, because bear baiting is not easy. And anybody thinks it's easy, I will give you a backpack full of bait and we'll go hiking and we'll see how much you love it. It's not fun.
It's a pain in the ass. I wish I could just sit on a mountain and spot one from 300 yards away and shoot one.
Exactly. And that's kind of the thing we've been doing the last couple of years, because my son just barely got old enough to hunt. And that was my first thing was I can get him on a bear. That's no big deal. I'll get him on a bear. And it has been so hard just to get one to come in when he's sitting on the bait, let alone get him to kill one. Like, we still haven't got it done.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's awesome. I love it. Getting to introduce him to the stuff that I love is something that I never, the joy that I get to feel is weird. I didn't expect that at all.
Oh man, it's profound. It's profound. I love hunting, but what I love more than hunting is taking my kids hunting. How old is your son?
He's 11, 12. He's 12.
Oh, perfect, man.
Yep, he just turned 12. Yep. So, and it's.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, it's fun to have somebody that when you take them to the woods, everything that you're so used to is new. We find elk velvet on the road, and that's something I'm used to, and he sees that, and that's a big deal. And it's just cool to see that new, that sparkle in their eyes when they see something new that you're so used to that you don't really pay attention to anymore.
It is. So, it's an amazing time. It's an amazing thing because they have this fresh set of eyes where it gives us, like you and I, we don't know what they don't know. Sometimes we don't think about that. But I can tell you the first time I took my girls out to hunt deer where they were actually, on deck, they were the shooter. They both spent less than an hour in a deer blind that I'd set up on our property, and they both tagged out. Within the first hour, I took them each out separately, and they got a couple of little whitetail, right?
Which is awesome. And that's so crucial, in my opinion.
It is, but it also gave him this impression. This was 2 seasons ago. It gave him this impression that hunting was just easy. Oh, no, you go sit out in Dad's blind thing, and, a deer comes in, and you shoot it. And
yeah, I understand that too. Yeah, I understand that too.
That's what's nice about switching it up too. We do turkeys, we do elk, we do deer, and then I got them on bears this year. And it was like a nice heartbreak. Now my daughter, 14-year-old, now she knows the heartbreak of a missed shot and a season without a notch tag. And she understands that. Okay, it's not always that easy, and so a valuable lesson in that.
Oh, it was too, and I don't know about you, but when I first started hunting, I struggled extremely bad with buck fever, to the point of I almost didn't want to do it. Yeah, and I still do too. But what we kind of talking about tonight has kind of helped me in a way that I don't have to stress about that anymore, like I used to. I mean, the first 3 elk I shot at, we never found, and I was just, I was at the point that, and most people don't like to admit this, but. I was a crappy hunter. I was young. I didn't know how to shoot. I didn't make good shots.
Yep.
And I can remember the first elk. Yeah, I can remember the first elk that I actually killed. I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like I need to strive to do this better. And it just kind of lit a fire in me that helped me to now when something. And I don't want to sound arrogant or cocky or sound like I know everything, but if he walks within 60 yards of me and I've got a bow in my hand, you're probably not going to survive the encounter.
Yeah.
And that's a fun
and I'd attest to that because do we follow each other on Instagram too?
Oh, we might have. I've kind of gotten off the social media stuff the
Okay.
last couple months.
But my point is like the years past is, we've been friends, I know, on Facebook for a long time.
Oh, 100%. Yep.
You're always notching tags, man. Like it's crazy to watch because what you talked about. Actually, I got an interesting little take. When you're talking about buck fever, for some reason, when it comes to bears or bull elk, I don't get that way. And I think that for with elk, it's generally this big, call-in encounter, and my adrenaline's already been high because I'm communicating with this bull, so by the time he shows himself, I'm pretty calm. But when I'm deer hunting, and I don't care if I'm rifle hunting or bow hunting, I don't do a lot of muzzleloader, but so I don't know, can't speak to it, but I get way more worked up over a buck. What is the deal with that? Like I get way more worked up.
I'm the same way. Like when I was a kid, you throw a coyote out in front of me, I could smoke him, 8 times out of 10, no problem. But you put a deer or an elk or something in front of me, I fell apart. And my best friend's the total opposite. You can put a deer and elk in front of him, and he doesn't even get wound up. But you put a coyote in front of him, and it's all hell breaks loose. It's so weird how little things like that just set the mind off to where you struggle executing a shot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. Well, tell me a little bit about how you got over that, because you talked about like target archery before we hit record, and I want to know, because again, I do struggle with, I don't know if it's target panic or what do we call it, buck fever?
Yeah, target panic, buck fever. I mean, those are all two names for the same monster. You know what I mean? And
it's worse for me with archery than it is with a rifle. Like I get buck fever with a rifle, but I don't know if it's just the experience I have between hunting all my life and military and stuff. I can always hit them with a rifle.
100%. And that military training. Go ahead. I was just going to say that military training I've got buddies that are in the military, and that's one thing that is so awesome because they teach you how to pull a trigger. and that is, as simple as that sounds, that's the start of everything. So
yeah, for sure, man. But I want to translate that to archery because I feel like I shoot a lot of targets. I'm pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I practice a lot, and when I get in front of a bull elk that's just been screaming his head off, I'm super calm, and I feel like I'm making a good shot, but then I'll deflect it off a little twig or something. I've told all the stories on the show before.
And with that kind of stuff, I mean, it's bow hunting. Stuff's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just, if we can negate some of those issues that we cause, a lot more elk are going to hit the ground, and you're still going to lose elk to swirling. I mean, swirling winds are always going to get you in trouble, and you're always going to have branches that you don't see.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can get it to where when your shot goes off, it's second nature, it takes out a lot of that guesswork and a lot of that anticipation that a lot of people get that causes target panic and buck fever and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a little story just to kind of how I got into it. My dad shot competitively back in the mid 90s, and was really good at it. Was a very good shooter, very accomplished shooter. And then kind of got out of it, like I said, same reason I did. Started skiing. We started skiing together as a family, and that kind of took over winter. Well, that's when we do a lot of our indoor shooting for targets, so it really took over that.
Yeah.
But then about 2014, 2015, me and Dad are hunting a drainage, and we have a bull crack off, and we go down after him, get in like we always do, get in close, and all of a sudden he beagles again. And it's one of those beagles and you've heard this saying, and I've said it 100 times, and I know better, but you can never judge a bull by his beagle. I don't care who tells you can, you never can. And this sounded like a young raghorn. And I was a young bow hunter. So Dad does what every dad does and put me out in front of him and said, all right, get ready. They're going to come right here. You're going to get a chance. Just do what you've been doing in the backyard since you were 2. And about 40 yards away from me on this trail, here comes a cow. And, perfect setup. Rangefinder, knew exactly how far she was. I was set. I was ready to go. Arrow knocked, ready to go. Here comes another cow. And another cow, and another cow, and I thought, that's a lot of cows for a raghorn. And we hunt in an area where the herds aren't big. We're talking 8 or 10 elk is a big herd for our area.
Wow, yeah.
We just don't have...
That would be a huge herd for our area, too. Yeah,
yeah. See, so you kind of know the same thing. We don't have those 30, 40 head herds like a lot of the people out west do, or the huge 300, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, what came out next was one of the biggest elk I've ever seen on the hoof. Probably a 370 bull, walked out. And I full drew, and he came walking out, and I didn't know what to do no more than stand there and breathe. I literally froze. He walked into my shooting lane, stopped broadside, and I just sat there staring at him. No idea what to do, nothing like that. And he walked on out of my life, and I made a decision right then that I was going to figure out how to make this archery thing work, and make it so that I wasn't going to miss opportunities like that again. It's probably one I'll never get again.
God, that's crazy. A 370 in Idaho, man.
It's just a huge bull. It's seriously, I'm not going to say he's the biggest bull I've ever seen on the hoof, but he's top 5.
Wow.
Just one of those you never expected to walk out.
I don't think I've ever seen a 370 bull in the state of Idaho. For me, but again, I'm in the Panhandle, so
and down here it's a little bit easier for us. I mean, it's especially in some of the areas we have, you can see for 3 or 4 miles, so it's no big deal to see those big bulls. Now, getting close to them is a completely different story.
Sure.
And I mean, you just look at the statistics that tells you it's a completely different story. But we made a decision that year to slow down on the skiing and start shooting. And one of the very first things I started noticing is that I started getting more confident with my equipment, which is going to happen with anybody that shoots a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I started noticing things on my bow that I had never noticed before, stabilizer weights and how that can affect how the bow holds. That to me, I always threw a stabilizer and I thought, that's cool. It's for, making it quieter. I never had any idea what they were used for.
Well, can you describe that for those of
absolutely.
us that don't know?
Yeah, absolutely. So stabilizers on a bow are for 2 things. They're for deadening. They're going to take away a lot of the vibrations in the bow. And then they're for the weight system. So if you've ever noticed on target archery, we have those long bars. And a lot of us run front and back bars.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times the reason we do that is to help us actually shoot the bow. I can actually add an ounce of weight to the front of my bow and slow down my sight picture, meaning I can slow down how much that sight is moving. You're never going to get it to hold completely still. Anybody that says that's a liar, it's just not going to happen. But you can negate it down to where it's your mind's not freaking out when the sight's moving. Does that make sense?
Yep.
One of the biggest sayings that I try to tell people that aren't into the target archery stuff is that a lot of guys will say, trust the float. And that's the hardest thing for people. And it was the hardest thing for me to learn, is to let that pin move around. Just execute a shot and you'll be amazed at how often that thing goes right in the center. And it was hard for me to learn that. But back to the stabilizer, sorry. Rabbit hole jumping down stuff, but
no, that rabbit holes are good, man.
So
go ahead.
Back to stabilizer. So what we can do is, like, for example, if I have a sight picture that I'm always holding high, I can throw another ounce of weight out on the front and help me bring that bow down into where I'm holding center more. You're changing that natural point of aim. And if anybody shoots rifles, you've heard of that, where you lay down behind a rifle. What's your natural point of aim? Where's the gun pointing? You can do the same thing to a bow. People just don't understand that. You can change things on it to make it so your natural point of aim is going to be right where you want it to be. And that's just something that target archery, that's another thing, competitions, whatever you want to say, it just teaches you these little things that make your hunting bow so unforgiving or so forgiving that it's just amazing what you can accomplish with them. Funny little tidbit, I just got the new target bow that I'm going to be shooting this next fall and winter. And I actually took it to our summertime leagues last night and shot a worse score than I've shot with my hunting bow all summer.
Really?
That'll just show you that just because you have the equipment doesn't mean that, my hunting bow right now is so dialed that, I wouldn't want to stand in front of me. So,
well,
But target archery just shows you how to do that. But the main reason that I started getting into this was not only that, but it was to teach myself how to handle that anxiety, that fear of the unknown when that animal is coming in or when I'm standing on a tournament line. Because I will tell you right now, and anybody that's been to Vegas, which Vegas is our Super Bowl of indoor archery.
Yep.
They have anywhere between 3,500 to 4,800 shooters every year. It's amazing. If any of you get a chance to go, I would highly, highly recommend, even if it's just to go watch. It is so awesome. But anyways, you stand on that line and that judge says, this is your first end of score. That feeling you have that comes racing up from your feet and all the way up into your heart and up into your throat is the same feeling you have when that buck stands up or when that bull turns and gives you that shot.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And
man.
I realized real quick that this was going to settle me down. And all of a sudden I started killing animals that I normally wouldn't have killed.
Because the stress from the archery or like these competition shoots.
Exactly. And I don't know how it is up there, but like when I first started getting back into this, like all of our 3Ds around here were just fun shoots. Nobody had any competition. It was all fun shoots.
Yeah, they're mostly like that up here too.
Yeah, which I understand that. But a lot of that people don't realize is what that's doing is that's taking the nerves out of it. And the whole reason we're wanting to practice is try to replicate that. Well, this is the best way I've found to even get close. And I'm not going to say it's the same. I mean, you put a big bull in front of you and he's come marching in. That's a feeling that you won't feel anywhere else. But this at least made it so that when they came marching in, I wasn't sitting there going, what the hell am I going to do? Like I did with that big bull.
Wow. That
and
interesting take, man. I've never thought of it that way because I don't do any competition shooting. I feel like I'm not good enough. You know, I don't know. It was never.
And that's one of the biggest things I want to talk about was the misconceptions of target archery. I mean, that's one of the best things I hear is I'm not good enough. Hogwash. We've had guys on tournament lines, and not to sound like an asshole, but we've had guys on tournament lines that literally stand up there and dry fired their bow 3 times in a row, and then tried to find the arrows.
Really?
So yeah, like just come shoot them. They are so much fun, and it is for anyone. And
Justin, what's your Instagram, by the way? Your Instagram handle?
I will have to see if I can find it. Like I said, I kind of got rid of all my Instagram stuff. I haven't been on there a lot, so let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But yeah,
how come? Are you just sick of social media, or?
Yeah, you know that, and I've heard you. I don't want to go too far off on a rant because we both feel the same way. But I'm just sick of all the crap on Facebook. Like,
yeah.
I was wasting too much. I was wasting too much mind power on being negative on stuff that I had zero control over.
Yeah.
And it was making everything tough.
I'm so guilty of that on Facebook. I get tired of it's so phony. There's such phoniness going on, and
100%.
Like people are just cowards too when it comes to talking on like this social media medium and not expressing their real opinions and acting like or just not saying anything at all when there's something that's blaringly or blazingly wrong that needs to be addressed, and I know people agree and nobody says anything. It's like, okay, guys, quit worrying about offending the snowflakes. It's time to grow up and start actually standing up for what we believe. But that's the Facebook side. I don't do that on Instagram. I try to keep it just hunting.
I'm 100% agree. You know, not to sound too redneck, but the problem with everything now is that you can say whatever you want. You don't have that threat of getting punched in the mouth like we did when we were kids.
Yeah.
You know, back then, if I smarted off,
yep,
I got popped in the mouth. And yeah, I'm right there with you, man.
Did you find your Instagram?
So I'm pulling it up right now. Like I said, I haven't even been.
Man, that's super. Like you sincerely moved away from it.
I literally logged out of it and everything. Yeah, I want to say it's at JD Huntsman 10. I want to say, but that might not even be right. I'm not 100% sure if that's even right.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if that works. JD Huntsman 10. No results found. That's okay. You can send it to me later.
Yeah, I'll send it to you later for sure. But yeah,
no worries. Silencer Central. Folks, if you want to learn something new right alongside me, check it out at silencercentral.com. I've never put a suppressor on any of my weapons, but I'm going to start now, and I'm using Silencer Central to help get me started because they walk you through the whole process, to include you can ship the rifle to them, they'll thread it, they'll put it on, and they will ship it back, and you can make payments on the whole thing while you wait for all the licensing to get approved, which they take care of for you. It's a great process, and it's a great company, American manufacturer, right there in South Dakota, and we are really excited to be partnering with them. So check it out at silencercentral.com or give them a call at 888-781-8778 and let them know that you heard it on the Western Huntsman. Hoffman Boots is my go-to boot. I love the Explorers in the 8-inch, and they've got the Vibram sole, totally waterproof, no break-in period. They just glue your feet to the mountain. You can't ask for more out of a boot, and you don't have to break the bank to get a pair. So check it out at hoffmanboots.com. Again, another American company. Local North Idaho friend of mine who runs this company decided to make some great hunting boots for all people that are serious about getting into the backcountry to chase elk and deer and bear and everything else out there. So check it out at hoffmanboots.com. Use promo code all caps lock Huntsman10 at checkout to save you 10%.
Back on that Instagram thing, I see everybody post pictures of all these huge animals, and Instagram's been awesome for hunting, and I'm never going to say that it hasn't been. Same thing with Facebook, same thing with social media, all that stuff. It is taught way more people something that we never should have lost. But on the same hand, it has made it really tough when I have friends that I get a 150-inch deer in front of them, mule deer, and they don't want to kill it because it's not 200 inches.
Yeah,
and it's like
that is disturbing, especially like Idaho public land mule deer hunt.
Exactly.
Like, are you serious, dude? This is not.
Yeah,
this isn't a ranch. You didn't pay $30,000.
Exactly. And, you see everybody on Instagram killing, and nothing against that. I'm guilty of it. If I kill something big, damn right I'm going to put it on there. I'm bragging. I worked my ass off for that. So, but people tend to think that they're running around everywhere out there, and they're just not. Any of us that spend a lot of time in the woods, you just know that big animals don't run around everywhere.
No.
And you got to work your ass off to find them. And so that's just kind of been my issue with it.
I'm just not. Yeah, so, I'm with you, man. I get tired. I grow tired very quickly of the persona that people try to put on like Instagram and Facebook. Yeah, I have a policy. If I won't say it to somebody's face, I won't put it on Facebook or Instagram or any social media.
100%. Yeah.
And I think more people need to have that policy, because I'll post something and people say something shitty to me. And it's like, you know what? If we were at a 4th of July festival, watching our kids do the turtle races or whatever we do, you wouldn't say that to me. And now you're saying it to me on here because I can't reach through the phone and pick you up by the neck and body slam you, or vice versa, right? Like, yeah. I'm not going to get, nobody's getting a black eye out of it.
And back when the wolf thing first happened, and I'm sure this could have been where me and you actually first met, was when we were arguing with all the the pro wolf people.
Yeah.
And some of the things that people would say on that, I got to the point that it's like, how could you threaten somebody's family like that over an animal? Like, you know what I mean? So I just figured it's time to give it up and just take a break from it, and that's where we're at.
Isn't that crazy, man?
It's so nuts
that comes out of anti-hunters, and especially these pro-wolf activists. Like, they are nasty, man. They will send
and they're next level. Like that.
Yeah.
Like, I've had people get mad at me for hunting, and I've had people, you're a killer or a murderer or whatever, and I'll own that. You know what? Yes, I am. I'm a killer. Sorry.
Yep.
But those wolf guys they're next level. Yeah,
they're a different breed, man. Like,
they are.
I've had people literally call me and threaten. They're like, well, I'm going to find out where you live, and you're gonna pay. You and your family are gonna pay. In fact, I should post those comments on social media to show the lunacy of this. Like, okay, my fellow mankind friend, you find this species on Earth as if they're so much more important than any other species, that because I am for managing wolves through hunting and trapping, you're going to threaten my family, which, by the way, I am heavily armed on a very well-protected piece of property, and I'll know you'll be coming, and you won't like the results, bitch.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing that makes me laugh is, no. I mean, that's the thing that makes me laugh is, you ask these people, where do you live? Well, I'm in California. Well, then why the hell are you even talking? Like, you're not living here and seeing these deer get killed and, drug around and seeing 20 elk die from a pack of wolves for fun. Like, you're not seeing that kind of stuff.
Mm-mm.
But, I mean, that's the world we live in now. Everybody's got an opinion, and whether or not you have any actual real facts about it or whatever,
Yeah.
It's just tough. It sucks.
Opinions are strong, man. What do you see as a guy like, how old are you, Justin?
35.
So you're a guy that's been hunting a long time. You've been in the hunting space for a long time. What do you see as like the biggest threat to the future of hunting? And, well, I'll ask the second question later. What do you see as the biggest threat?
And this may come across as kind of I don't want to come across as an asshole, but I'm just going to be honest with you guys.
You keep saying that, dude. You've listened to my show enough to know that we don't care if people think we're assholes. They're going to anyway, dude.
Well, and that's one thing I told myself is I'm going to be 100% honest. I think the biggest threat to hunting right now is hunters themselves. I don't feel like we have each other's backs at all. And it's not good.
In what way?
So several ways. Whether it be bow hunters versus rifle hunters, crossbow hunters versus archery hunters, traditional hunters versus compound hunters, long range shooters versus guys that jump shoot. Just that. Like, I understand having our differences, and absolutely we need them. because that's what keeps hunting fun. But we need to have each other's backs on the bigger enemy, and we don't. And I feel like that's going to be our biggest downfall.
Man, I actually really like the way you said that, because I want people to understand when it comes to this topic, there's a difference between rivalry and like becoming enemies with each other over subtle differences.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what it is, man. Like rifle versus bow hunting, that's a subtle difference. The end result is the same. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I want to caution people, like, again, I don't mean to, I always feel like I sound like my grandpa when I talk about my military time, because my grandpa would be like, listen, boy, back in Korea. Yeah, you know, I don't mean to sound like that, but like in the military, obviously there's rivalry between branches. And you know, Marines versus Army and versus Navy and whatever. And I get that. And it's a fun rivalry. But if you've been to somewhere like Iraq, you understand that rivalry stays stateside because everybody depends on each other and we're all on the same team. And so I've seen that on that level, and I think that people maybe sometimes don't see that on a greater level. That maybe there's some jealousy because some dude shot a 200-inch mule deer on a paid ranch hunt. And you know, maybe doesn't mention that, and guys like you and I that can't afford that, we get a little bent out of shape. That's okay. We have to leave it there, because at the end of the day, we're all hunters. And
oh, absolutely.
You know, it just drives me crazy that people don't separate. Like they get more mad about somebody defending being a public land versus private land hunter, for example, or a DIY guy versus a guided hunter. They get more fixated on that difference than they do the fact that, like, there's people out there that literally think that they should ban ranching and hunting so that no animals die in the name of feeding humans.
Oh yeah, and those are the same kind of people that think meat come from grocery stores, though. So I mean, you can't really take their opinions too serious. But yeah, I agree with you, man. I just, you know, and we see it a lot. Again, back to the social media thing. That's where I see the worst of it, and maybe that's why I decided to kind of back off of that. Was, you know, I'd have buddies that they would kill a great deer or a great animal, and I would be so pumped for them, and they'd be embarrassed to put it on Facebook, and I'm like, that is so dumb. Well, I'm going to get made fun of. That's our problem. That's why hunting is where it's at now, and that's why we're losing hunters every year. Now, you hear that every time, and us out west have a hard time seeing that, because every year we're dealing with more and more hunters. Yeah. But if you look at the numbers and you look beside your little bubble and actually look outside your bubble, our hunting numbers are going down. You know, and not only that, but I have a lot of buddies that kind of have that it's not my problem mentality, and that's also another issue. You know, like the Washington losing their spring bear.
Yeah.
You know, I reached out to a couple of buddies. Hey, have you sent out, you know, emails? Have you helped? Why do I care? I don't live in Washington. Well, dude, where the hell do you think they're going to go next? Like, we're right next to them.
Not only do we have that mentality where it's like, okay, well, I don't live in Washington, so what do I care that they lose their spring bear season? But then the same group of people sit around bitching about non-resident hunters. What do you think that's going to do to, like, Idaho's spring bear season in terms of non-resident hunters?
And not only that, but if the animal rights activists get success in Washington, what makes you think they're not just going to hop the border?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like, if I lived in Washington, I'd be buying spring bear tags in Idaho. They're over the counter. They're cheap.
Exactly. I would too. Yeah.
And there's no reason for Washington to lose their spring bear. It's such a dumb. Which, by the way, the Sportsman's Alliance. I do want to make this announcement. Sportsman's Alliance did get a favorable judgment against Lorna Smith, the commissioner out there that kind of headed up the end of the spring bear. Then if you guys are not, like, apprised to this information, sorry, Justin, I just want to update this.
No, please.
But if you're not apprised of this, what happens is the state of Washington does not allow somebody to serve on one public entity and then double that up on a different public entity. And I can't remember the other one she serves on. It's some, like, housing authority or I don't know, development authority, some other board or whatever she serves on. So by her serving on the Washington Wildlife Commission, she's doubling that up, and that's illegal as per the state of Washington statute. And so Sportsman's Alliance was able to bring that to court, and a judge did rule in favor of them. I don't know what the next step is, but I did kind of want to just, throw a shout out to Sportsman's Alliance for taking the reins on that and creating something positive for our friends in Washington.
Well, we need that, because right now you hear so much negativity anymore that the positivity stuff just is so few and far between. It's good to hear a win on our side.
Yeah,
so that's awesome.
Man.
I haven't heard that, so that's cool to hear.
Yeah, it just happened like yesterday. By the way, we are recording this on July 6th. I meant to say that at the beginning. I try to say that in every episode, but
yeah.
Hey, you know what I want to tell you, man, is you had mentioned, you'd never been on a podcast before, and you would have fooled me, dude. Like, you're good at this, man. You should come on my show more often. This is awesome.
If you could have seen me 30 minutes before you called me, I was a nervous wreck. My wife was in here making fun of me. I'm sitting in my little archery shop down in my basement. She was teasing me, and so yeah, she goes, "Come on, you cocky." She says, "You normally are no problem with this. Just sit down and talk hunting. You'll be fine." I'm
that's
like,
all
okay.
we're doing, man. We just sit down and talk hunting.
Yeah.
Did we kind of cross or pass over anything on?
We did. We got kind of lost on the target stuff.
Archery.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that.
Yeah. So just the biggest thing I want to try to push people is don't be scared to go try it. 95% of the target shooters that I know personally are going to bend over backwards to help you. We want you guys to succeed. We want everybody to succeed. And when we get more people that shoots, that just makes bigger tournaments for us. And I'm happy to see, at least in my side of the state, we're starting to see that kind of grow. A lot of our 3Ds are starting to put on competition 3Ds. And the main reason why I say that and why I'm excited about it is granted, I love competition. I'm competitive. I enjoy doing that. But on the plus side of that, it's teaching people how to deal with these nerves when they're at full draw.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think that we get a lot of that anymore, because you can stand up and shoot your target in your backyard 400,000 times over the summer. And when that bull comes walking in, it is nothing like what your backyard practice was. Now you're building good reps. Yeah, you're building good reps and you're getting that muscle memory. So that's always good. Shooting your bow is always good. But being able to know what your body is going to do and how it's going to react in those high pressure situations was life-changing for me. I went from being somebody that just couldn't kill anything to I had a couple of years where it seemed like everything I drew my bow on died.
Mm-hmm.
If I got to full draw, I had that confidence and I knew that they weren't going to make it. And I talk with buddies that aren't shooters, that aren't tournament shooters. And for example, I'll jump into story time, kind of bouncing all over the place here, but a couple of years ago, had a really nice mule deer, nice 4x4 bedded, and had a buddy right behind me kind of calling me in with hand signals and stuff like that. Anyways, got into a great place on him. He was working through a pretty thick patch, and on the inside of the patch, I was 34 yards, and on the outside of the patch, it was 65 yards. And the buck ended up catching me moving because I got impatient, which is my fault. But anyways,
what I do.
Yeah, buck, stupid mistake. But anyways, buck peels out the top and stops. I already knew, and I got lucky because he literally stopped on top of the bush that I range found already. So I knew he was 65 yards, already had my sight set and everything, drew back, anchored in. Everything else took over like it normally does. Arrow goes off, buck runs off and dies.
Wow.
Just exactly how you want it to happen. And I can remember my buddy
That's
walking
awesome.
down to me, and I didn't think anything of it. It had just been like I had the adrenaline shakes and I was loving life, but the shot process, what had happened to make that shot happen, I hadn't thought anything of it. It's just me shooting my bow.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy comes walking down to me, and what he said to me is, when I started kind of pushing people to do this, is he walked down to me and he says, "How in the hell did you do that?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Dude, there is no way I could have drawn that bow back and shot that confidently at that deer." And I said, "Well, why not, man? You shoot just as much as I do." And he goes, "I just don't feel confident." And that immediately got me thinking, okay, why am I different than him? We have the same path. We've shot the same. We've always been very similar in our archery. What's the difference? And I realized that, me standing on those tournament lines, shaking my boots and just trying to figure out why in the hell I pay money to do this had turned me into somebody that when that time came, my body took over and I wasn't nervous anymore.
Huh.
And I'm coming from, I'll be 100% with everybody. I'm coming from somebody that I suffered so bad with target panic. So bad. So, and I guess I shouldn't say target panic. Sorry, buck fever.
Like buck fever. Where
yeah, when I was a kid, I kid you not, I was
shaky and you can't hold still and you're like sweating.
Exactly.
And I know exactly what you mean, man. Like I said,
I would see that deer in the scope, or I would see that elk in the scope, and I would flinch so hard that the fact that I even hits things was amazing.
Did you see that? Did you see that buck I killed last year with?
I did. Yep.
With the bow. I was wearing snowshoes. Dude, I was terrified. I was shaking all over. It was like God bowed down from heaven and held my shoulder to stabilize me or something, and that arrow flung right at the exact right moment, and I was able to get him. I'm still surprised he's dead.
Oh yeah, and that was what I was kind of getting to. Sorry, I was going a long way about it, but
no, you're good, man.
What I got to when I sat down and talked, so we got back to camp that night, got him all taken care of, and sat down and talked, and it was like, okay, why is this easier for me than it's for you? Like, why? What's causing this? You've always been rock solid. You've never had this issue. And all of a sudden we started talking, and it's like, well, me being successful in the tournaments that I had shot, and not even successful. I mean, I have not, by any means do I claim to be a good archer. I have not won anything that is cool. I placed great at Vegas one year, but that is it. Like, there's a lot of archers, even in my hometown, that are a lot better shooters than I am. But I had the confidence to, when it came to shots like that where people hesitate, I was killing animals. And he started shooting competitions, and the very, very next year, we get this really nice deer standing at 65 yards, and he double-lunged him. He didn't go anywhere. 40 yards, and he was piled up. It was just amazing to see that transformation in less than a year on somebody that I would have thought was a very accomplished archer, was a very good shooter.
Huh.
So if it can do that for somebody like that, if it's somebody that's beginning, go start a competition. Go, if you're a kid, the S3DA program here in Idaho is blowing up.
Yeah.
Go sign up, go shoot, get in with that stuff, learn how to do that stuff, and you'll be amazed at not only the camaraderie that you make with all the people and all the knowledge you're going to learn, but you will learn your setup inside and out. You'll be able to react, and then when that buck stands out, or that bull or bear, whatever stands up, you'll be amazed at how easy it is. And I hate to say it like that, but you'll be amazed at how easy it is.
No, I'm actually glad you are, man. I've just never heard somebody put it into that kind of perspective from that sense. I've just, like, for me, man, I have no interest in competition shooting. Like, zero. It's not, like, I always talk about this too, and maybe I can get your take on it, but I always look at it like this, man. There's two types of archers. There's archers that are very into it for the sake of archery. They really enjoy shooting their bow. They probably enjoy shooting bulls too. But
oh, absolutely, most archers do.
Yeah, for sure. And I love shooting my bow. But they are, like, my buddy Nate Davenport's like this. He's just like obsessed with archery, and he always wants to make these trad bows, and he's shooting all the time. And that in itself, the actual act of shooting your bow is a hobby within itself. And then they also just happen to hunt, and maybe they're super obsessed about hunting as well. Maybe they're not. Maybe hunting is just like a byproduct of being into bows and shooting archery. And then you have people like me who are, I don't know how to ever explain this. People think that because I have a hunting podcast, I'm way into the hobby aspect of shooting rifles and shooting bows and shooting whatever. I'm not like that. I just don't have that passion. I think that I shot so many rounds in the military for all the training that we did. I don't like to go out and just shoot targets with my rifle. I do enjoy the bow, but not to the extent of like what other people that I know are. And so I'm just highlighting the fact that some people are out there shooting their bow just for the sake of being proficient and being lethal when it comes to hunting season. That's what I do. And then you have other people that are just really passionate about shooting their bow as its own entity, if that makes sense. And so I'm trying 100%. To appeal to those that are like me who might not be, super enthusiastic about shooting a bow outside of just being ready and lethal. Maybe this competition thing has some merit, because that buck fever, that target panic, I've had Joel Turner on a few times, and he talks about that as well. It's so different than just shooting a target in the backyard. there's got to be something to this. So I'm really glad you brought it up, because I think that a lot of light bulbs are going to be going off.
Oh, 100%. And Joel's a stud. I mean, if you just look at what he's done with his son, Bodie, I mean, Bodie is right now probably one of the hottest archers in the world. I mean, he just got done. Yeah. He just won Reading. He's winning everything, and he's a hell of a shooter. I've met him a couple of times. Good kid. I would definitely classify. I agree with you. But I think one of the biggest misconceptions about target archery and target shooters in whole is that people think that we're all just paper punchers. That's all we're there for. And if you walk down a line at Vegas or at Reading or any of these big tournaments that are nationwide tournaments, if you walk down the line and you start asking everybody, hey, are you a bow hunter? I think it would blow your mind at how many of us started target archery for no better reason than just become a better bow hunter. Really? I am a bow hunter first. I am 100% a bow hunter first. And 95% of the target archers are probably going to tell you the same thing. I'm a bow hunter first.
You think it's that many? Because I was thinking, man, like some of the, I've watched, when the Olympics are on, they've got the archers and all that. And I'm thinking, I wonder if these dudes hunt. I wonder if they actually hunt. Because I know there's a lot of archers out there that don't even hunt.
Oh, 100%. And here's a perfect example. Anybody that follows any of the target, stuff. Kyle Douglas is a name that's came up in the last couple of years. Great shooter, stud. He's out of Salt Lake, just an absolute stud muffin. Anyways, he has won a lot of really big tournaments lately, and he is a hunting fool.
Really?
Anybody that would doubt that, yeah, just jump on his Instagram for a minute and you will see. And
what'd you say his name was?
Kyle Douglas.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and most of those guys. I mean, if you go on and look at any of the big ASA is a tournament that shoots 3D animals in the South, right? They're a big, huge tournament. They have anywhere between 1,500 to 3,000 shooters each tournament. And every one of their top guys, Levi Morgan, Dan McCarthy, Jesse Broadwater, all these guys that are winning these tournaments and literally making a living shooting a bow are all bow hunters.
Interesting.
I mean, I listened to a podcast today with Levi that Levi was talking about, I'm going to start slowing down on the tournament side because I want to hunt more.
That's awesome.
And this is one of the greatest archers that's ever walked this earth, and that's what he's saying. So, wow. That's one of the biggest misconceptions that I see with people is they see, like, for example, I'll show up at leagues and I have my target bow, and they'll all, that guy doesn't know how to hunt or anything. On the contrary, I am doing this to get ready for hunting season. The only reason why I'm doing this is because I'm dealing with a shoulder injury and trying to beef my shoulder back up. They just don't understand that aspect of it. And I wish people would see that all of us target archers are 90% of us are bow hunters first. And that's the main reason why we started shooting competitions, was to get more proficient.
So let me ask you this, man. Are you good on time?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll never be able to actually say this usually in most cases. So let me ask you this, Mr. Huntsman.
Yes.
Let's say we've got somebody out there that's listening to this, and they're, maybe they've been a rifle hunter for a long time, and they're kind of getting into the whole, I want to call a bull elk in and bugle them into bow range and sauce them with my bow. What are some of like the biggest mistakes you see brand spanking new bow hunters getting into just before like a big bow season, like September archery?
For elk? Yeah, for sure. So I'm just gonna be honest again. We're just gonna come straight across and say it. I think the biggest issue that I see with new archery hunters is they think it's a rifle. They have this mentality of, I can just go buy a box of ammo, I can buy a dozen arrows, throw it on the bow, and go kill an animal. That is not the case. These are not like that. Bow needs to be tuned. I would always, always, always recommend, if you're going to start an archery and you're going to start shooting it, even if you're going to start shooting competitions, go to your local shop. Shout out Archery Idaho here in town. They are awesome. Patrick's killer, Brian's killer, all those guys, and then Jesse and Pocatello. They will take damn good care of you, and any shop will. Yeah. We love seeing people in archery. It's just like if you go into a gun shop. They're not going to turn you away. They want you to buy a gun. We like seeing people shoot guns. Same thing with archery. We like seeing people with bows. Yeah,
but on a hunting side, I don't want to cut you off because I want you to go back to where you were at. But on the hunting aspect, when you're on the mountain, and this has kind of changed over the last few years, I've noticed. But when you're on the mountain and you're hunting with a rifle, people are dicks to each other, man. Like
100%.
They are like, okay, you are up in my shit, and you're a mile away. versus when you're archery hunting, when you're bow hunting, bow hunters understand the significance of a 100-yard gap or a 500-yard gap between you, and you're not really interfering with each other, except for when you got some Yoko out there, blowing on his flute like he's Doug Flutie, that's different.
Yeah,
But just the overall cultural aspect of bow hunting is a lot friendlier during season than rifle hunting. Like rifle hunting, I am surprised is not in the news more often for people getting in fist fights and stuff.
100%.
So,
I'm sure we've all had our stories or our excuses of that, or examples of that. Yeah, and it's never fun. And that's, again, when I go back to that thing of saying what's the worst thing for hunting, it's hunters itself. That's kind of part of that problem that I'm talking about.
For sure.
For what you're saying, I've always had a saying that the difference between bow hunting and rifle hunting is archery hunting, finding the animals is easy. Killing them is the hard part.
Mm-hmm.
Rifle hunting is the total opposite. Finding them is the hard part. Killing them is easy.
Yep.
And I think that competition that the rifle hunting, I think that competition that rifle hunting causes, if you do get into a canyon, you can shoot 400 yards. It creates competition. Naturally, people are going to get more aggressive, and I think that's the only thing. That's the only reason I can find that, because I've ran into plenty of archery hunters that were assholes, straight up assholes.
Oh yeah.
But I've also ran into rifle hunters that are the same way. So I think that has a lot to do with it. With archery, a lot of us know that it's 10 to 20% success rate, maybe, if we're lucky. So let's all have a good time, and maybe somebody's going to get lucky. You know what I mean? That's kind of the mentality that I see with that. And I think that's why that is that way. But then you also have the old saying that they say that 80% of the elk hunters kill 20, or let's say that the right way. 80% of the elk hunters don't kill 20%, or whatever it is. Yeah.
It's 10%, 10% of the elk hunters kill 90% of the elk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't believe that, because I was one of those guys that I thought luck had a lot to do with it, and it does. And anybody that says hunting doesn't have luck to do with it's a liar.
Absolutely.
You need wind to hold. Especially with bow hunting. It's not as critical with rifles, but with bows especially.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I've noticed with that is, I don't know how to say this without sounding mean.
Dude, don't worry about it, man. I'm telling you could be the nicest guy on the planet, and you're still going to piss somebody off.
100%.
I promise.
Yeah, man. People just need to get along and hunt together. The issues that we're having with this stuff is dumb. It really is. And most guys, if you walk up and talk, for example, if I pull into a canyon, there's a truck there, show some common respect and just back out and go hunt somewhere else. There's animals everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I've had a lot of issues with lately on the bow hunting side. I want to bring up the bow hunting side more, because while I agree with you that rifle hunters can be meaner, there's still a lot of stuff on the bow hunting side that's not fun. I've had times that I go to get in my truck and I have valve stems removed, or stuff like that, and it's not fun.
I've had that too, man. I've had pop tires.
100%. And I've had
it's because I work in Washington. My company is based out of Washington, so one of the trucks I cruise around and hunt in is a company truck. Hopefully my boss isn't listening. And and it's got Washington plates, but I don't live in I've never lived in Washington. Come on.
Funny story on that.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, my wife was driving home from work or something in my truck and got in a car wreck, and we're talking 4 or 5 days before September 1st.
Oh no!
So I'm stressing. Anyways, everything goes through. She's fine. Truck's totaled. Whatever. It's no big deal. But they give me a rental, and it has a California place. So I literally had to go to the vinyl. I had to go to the vinyl shop and I'm a resident. It's a rental, and I literally stuck it on the back window because the first time I took it out, I had somebody. That was the valve stem story. Removed all my valve stems. Literally left me there. I had to hike out. It was 8 miles to the road. It sucked.
Yeah.
But I literally had to go get a sticker made, and that's another thing I was going to talk about. And I'm just as guilty of this as any other resident. We've got to be nicer to our non-residents. I understand it's frustrating, but as many of you guys are, and I'm sure you're probably the same way, I would love to hunt out of state. I just can't afford to do it. I have too many kids and too many responsibilities. But if I could, I'd be there. So why am I being rude to somebody that can't?
Yeah, for sure, man.
And that's one thing.
Let's talk about that topic for a minute, because just like you said, man, it is frustrating. Let's just all acknowledge, everybody listening, I don't care what state you're in, and I don't care what state you're coming from to hunt in, if that makes sense. It is frustrating. When I pull up, I'll give you a great example, dude, because these guys are actually super cool guys, and I don't even think they listen to this show, but these two dudes where I hunt elk, these two dudes drive all the way from Minnesota, and
Wow.
it's a father-son combo, and they have this like crazy hunting rig, man, where they've got this, it's like an F-350 with this built-in camper thing on it, and they come up and they park in the worst freaking spot on the mountain. Like it's like this, it would be the T intersection of elk, movement patterns or whatever you want to call it. Like, you know how elk, they have these, I run a lot of trail cameras. Okay. I run these, which by the way, I love these Spypoint Force Pros. These are sweet ass cameras, and I run them all over. So I know where the elk are at. I know where they're moving. I know where they're running. And there's like these highways that elk use. And these dudes from Minnesota camp right where they all intersect off this little logging road. And I talked to them like 3 years ago. They come every year. And I told them, hey guys, this isn't a great spot to camp just because what you're doing is you're cutting off where the elk are moving. They didn't listen to me. They still camped there. That irritated me.
Oh, 100%. And I totally get that.
That said, these guys show up from Minnesota, this dad and son combo, and these guys are busting their ass for 3 weeks. I know because where they're camped on this road that I utilize to get all to my favorite areas to hunt elk.
Mm-hmm.
So they're there. I watch them. They're there like right after Labor Day weekend, and they're there until about the 23rd or so. And they hunt their ass off, man. These guys, I'll be in some drainage like 5 miles away from them, and this is North Idaho miles. This is steep ass country. They're way
good
back
stuff
there, and I'm bugling. And I called them in last year, and they showed up and they're like, "Oh man, I can't believe we fell for it," and blah blah blah. And we had a good laugh about how I called them in. And, but they were a long way from their camp. They really dropped the elevation, and these guys are just gritty. They put in the work. They don't have a bunch of, they don't have $3,000 worth of gear on their back. These guys just, they show up and they work hard, and every once in a while they tag out. I've seen elk hanging in their camp. The point, I guess the point that I'm trying to highlight with this is, they definitely have frustrated me because of where they camp, and they're hunting in some of the drainages that I feel like I own because I'm in there all the time. I'm a resident, and
it's hard not to feel that way.
It is.
Yeah, it's hard not to feel that way.
I'm in there bear hunting in the spring, and these yahoos show up in September and blow it out. So it is frustrating, but at the same time, if I lived in Minnesota or if I lived in California, you bet your ass I would prioritize my finances to make sure I'm hunting elk in Idaho or Montana or Colorado or Utah or whatever every single year. That's how much
absolutely.
I love elk hunting. So you got to look at it from that perspective.
And we're so spoiled here. Like, even in the western states, we're spoiled. Every year I get to go and buy an elk tag, and I get to hunt elk every year. Doesn't matter. I get to hunt elk every year. And that's a rarity, and so we need to remember that. And kind of a couple things to touch on from your story. And I can even add on to that was 2 things. If you're an out-of-state hunter and you're coming into an area, learn to listen to the locals for 2 reasons. Number one, it's going to make you a more effective hunter. They live there. They know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Listen to them. If he comes up to you and tells you don't camp there, there's a reason he's saying that. Obviously, there was a reason why you were saying that.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the same hand, if you're a resident, you don't walk up there and say, "Hey, dumbass, don't park here." You got to walk up and be friendly.
Yeah.
A pretty good story from this. I have a buddy that was hunting an area last year, and it's a hike for us to get into it. And we hunted in there, and we get hiking in there, and all of a sudden there's a truck parked at the bottom. And we're like, you got to be kidding me. Come to find out, there's some guys from California. Next thing we know, they've been hunting it for 15 years, and they're teaching us stuff that we never even knew about.
Yeah.
And it was all because I've got a buddy that wants to talk to everyone. He's everybody's best friend, which is great. And that's how everybody should be.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that.
Yeah, he will go up and talk to anyone and become friends with them. And next thing I know, we're getting information that we never would have got if we walked in there and, hey, why the hell are you guys here? This is our area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it actually ended up filling tags from the information that they gave us. So
no kidding, huh? You filled the tag off.
We did, and it can be the same way around. I know of guys in the past that I have helped that, hey, you know what? Don't camp here. Don't go there. Listen, there's somebody in this canyon that's too small. Hunt one over. Next thing you know, they're sending you an Instagram message or something. Hey, man, I appreciate your help. Look at the bull I killed, or look at the deer I killed, or whatever.
Yeah.
We just need to get back to working together. I get it's competition, and I understand. I'm as competitive as anybody. I want to beat you to the top. I want to kill bigger elk than you. I get it.
Absolutely.
But we also got to take a step back and be like, hey, we're all on the same team, guys.
It's funny, and you kind of made an important point there. I probably should have touched on that a little bit more. Like when I asked them, it wasn't like I was being a jerk about where they're camped.
Oh, and I knew you weren't. That's why I brought it up.
I gave them some Maverick Phelps reeds from Phelps, because it's my favorite reed, and so
I agree, 100%.
I have a pile of them, and I threw that in there, I'm sorry, I gave it to them, and these are great dudes. Again, I think one of the things I wanted to point out too is those guys hunt harder than some of these guys that are coming out of Coeur d'Alene cruising the dirt roads on ATVs thinking they're going to bugle a bull right to the main road.
100%. I was just going to say that.
Yeah, that's an important point, because I see a lot of that happening here in North Idaho specifically, where I don't know if these are like just new hunters or new residents or what, but I got news for you, man. You're not going to bugle them right to the road. It's just that just doesn't happen, and I see a lot more of that from residents. And what you're doing is you're jacking up the guy that's down there that's hiked his ass in 2,000 feet down below you in the bottom of that drainage where the bulls actually are.
Exactly.
And so that's a huge problem.
It has been, and another thing. One of our biggest issues, and I don't know if you guys have this up in the northern part of the state, but down here during September, we have a lot of our motor vehicle restrictions, right? So no travel on a four-wheeler trail, stuff like that. That's one of the biggest issues that I have with non-resident hunters. We have a canyon that is phenomenal, and it's a mile and a half hike to get into it when the motor restriction vehicle rules are in place. When they're not, you can drive to the top of the canyon and literally be in the middle of it. And it's one of those canyons that, again, kind of going with story time, I hiked my butt off, left way early, got in there at daylight. Bulls start piping off, and I'm like, this is going to be fun. It's just one of those mornings. It's going to be a good morning. Mm-hmm. As soon as I drop down to the canyon, I hear a bull bugle at the top of the canyon that I know is not a bull. And another one, and another one. Come to find out, there's 5 hunters from a state that had ridden their four-wheelers to the top and walked right in on top of me. Now, they didn't know any better. Non-residents, yep. They didn't know any better, and they were really cool.
Wait. Just let's clarify. These were not non-residents.
No, these were non-residents. These were guys that were not from the state of Idaho.
Oh, gotcha. They were probably from Utah.
They were.
Okay.
I wasn't going to say it, but they were.
No, I know. I think it's important sometimes to point that out. Utah's got a bad rep for southern Idaho because they come up in droves and they do a lot of this kind of stuff, right?
We do, yeah. That's probably our number one out-of-state hunter around here, which is, again, if I could draw a Utah tag, I'd be down there pushing around right with those guys. But
we're not trashing them for being from Utah, but understand our friends in Utah down there, understand it could be super frustrating when you guys come up here and you're not following the rules, because there was another incident. In fact, it's on a YouTube video for Elk Shape with Dan Staten, where these guys from Utah down in southern Idaho are like driving around cornering off these elk. Yeah. You know what video I'm talking about?
Yep, I know exactly what video you're talking about.
And so I think that, it's just super important for everybody to be cognizant. It's not, oh, well, you're a Utah hunter, so you're breaking the rules, obviously. No, that's not what we're saying. It's saying that rules in Idaho are different than in the state of Utah, and you got to know them. It's the same thing if somebody's coming from Washington to Idaho, or from Idaho to Montana, or from South Dakota to Wyoming. Doesn't matter. It's just, that's what we deal with in Idaho. I know in Montana, I won't even get into that. But anyway, know the rules where you're going.
Oh, 100%. Back to the story. So, and this is kind of tying into everything. But anyway, it was a father and a son, and they're friends. And the father and son said, "Listen, I am sorry. We apologize. We didn't mean." And I said, "Guys, I could give a damn. Like, I'll go down the canyon. You guys go up. We're fine." I said, "Just in the future, know that that's illegal." The rest of the year goes by, no problem. The very next fall, I go hiking in the canyon first thing this morning, hear some bulls in the top, and find their friends in the top of the canyon riding their four-wheelers in again. So it doesn't matter where you're at. You're going to have guys that are just going to do what they want to do. Now, the tough thing about this one is it actually ended up ruining the canyon. It's one of those that I don't even go into anymore.
Yeah.
And you guys see a lot of that up northern Idaho where you get that kind of stuff. But just know the rules. That's all I want, and follow them. I mean, I get nobody likes hiking. I don't either. It's not fun. Anybody that says it's fun is a liar or sick in the head, because it's not fun. But psychotic. I do it because I love it. It's, if you give me a chance to kill something at the end of the rainbow, I'm going to go hike it. So,
yeah, for sure. Well, is there anything? Which, by the way, I don't want anybody to misconstrue and get all offended and send me dirty, nasty emails, because I don't even pay attention to those. If you're from Utah, look, guys, I am from Utah. I'm born and raised in Utah, right? So don't send me a bunch of hate mail over it.
100%.
But it is what it is. There's a bunch of jackasses that come up here from Utah and ruin things because they don't know the rules. They don't understand the regulations.
I guess I just look at it as, if I was to go to Utah, I would do it would be my goal to make sure that I don't piss anybody off and I learn as much as I can. So that should be the same mentality they have here. Respect the area. It's not yours.
Yeah.
I get that. And so I'd go down there with that mentality. And I feel like, again, back to the hunters are the worst for hunters. People have this entitlement issue that just needs to stop. It just needs to stop.
The entitlement.
Yeah.
My buddy, this dude, and in fact, he's been on the show, Hazen, down, I can never remember how to pronounce his last name. Hazen, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Hazen Downward?
Anyway. He hunts some of the area down here. Yeah, yep. I think he's living in Idaho now, isn't he?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
I think he made the jump. Yeah, we were friends on Facebook. I think he made the jump.
Oh, maybe he did. But him and his daughter just doubled up on really nice bears. But I know he used to live. He's like best friends with Alex Wagner, who's been on the show as well. And they come up and hunt bears. But Alex lives in somewhere down by Boise, or maybe it's Twin Falls. But I'm getting so much information here wrong, probably. But Hazen knows the rules, and when he comes, so I don't know where I was going with that, dude. I kind of lost my train of thought.
Well, and to be honest, Hazen does a really good job at that, because if you've ever bear baited in Idaho, we have a lot of stupid rules that we have to follow. So
we do.
The fact that he can come up here and do that and not get in trouble is awesome, because it's hard to do.
It is very difficult. Are you friends with Matt Drake down there?
I'm not. Nope.
You guys should hook up, man. Like,
definitely, yeah. Usually most of we keep our circle pretty small, but on the same hand, if you shoot anything competitively down here, you've probably ran into me at one point or another. I'm usually the loud, arrogant asshole walking around and being noisy. So
selling golden retriever puppies.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a reason. Yeah.
No, that's cool, man. Is there any other like prolific piece of advice you can give to somebody coming into archery season? I liked what you said about how, shooting archery and being lethal with a bow is not like being lethal with a rifle. It really is different. And I'm not saying that one thing is different or easier or harder. I'm saying it's very different. To be lethal with a rifle takes a lot of practice and a lot of consistency and knowledge of your weapon and understanding how to keep that thing dialed in while you're in the field and blah, blah, blah. Bow hunting requires a little bit different skill set. It's less about that side of it and more about understanding how those arrows fly and how to get close to animals and being super stealthy. And so there's just it's a different way to hunt, and I love both of them. So is there anything else that you can add to, like, again, that scenario where I was saying somebody's just thinking about getting into bow season? Like, here it is, July 6th. Is it too late to go buy a bow tomorrow and go out?
Not at all.
September?
And that's why I wanted to talk to you, is because this is crunch time. This is when we should start getting our stuff ready. I've been lucky enough to get to shoot for a lot of the shops here in Southeast Idaho, and part of that is going and helping them during this time of year. They're obviously busy, and we want to help them and help everybody we can. One of the biggest pet peeves I have is when somebody shows up 2 days before hunting season and they haven't done anything all summer, and it's like, this isn't a rifle, guys. You can't just go out and, you can fling arrows, but you're going to lose animals. You know, we've got to be a little bit more. And we all have it, and everybody will. I am not professing to be the perfect archer. I have lost animals. I probably lost more animals than most people have.
I don't know, man. I almost guarantee you I'd give you a run for your money.
You might.
Especially the last 3 years.
Yeah, but that's hunting. That's part of hunting, and that's my biggest thing is whenever I go out in the woods, I want to be as prepared as I can be. And with archery, you have to be more prepared than you do with a rifle, and I don't see that with a lot of new archers. And I think it's because they're scared to get the knowledge they need to get that way. But trust your local pro shop. If you know somebody that shoots competitive archery, the cool thing about that is most of us are bow techs. I mean, we spend more time working on our bows, trying to get them as forgiving and perfect as we can. We're going to know little things that even pro shops aren't going to know.
Yeah.
And then if you get lucky and have like shops like we have here in Southeast Idaho, the guy that runs the Archery Idaho in Pocatello, Jesse, is one of the best shooters that I've ever been around. Took third in the flights at Vegas this year, which if anybody shoots competitive archery, they'll know that's a big deal. Great shooter, and he's the guy working on your bow. I mean, it's perfect. You know, that's the kind of stuff you want. Exactly. And dude, anytime you need help, you feel free to give me a holler. I'd be happy to help any way I can. And same for anybody. Most target archers, if you need help, just ask us. We want to help. We want to get you guys in it. People are scared to ask. I get it. I'm the same way. Last thing I want to do is ask somebody for help. I hate that. I want to figure it out on my own. But man, the wealth of knowledge in the target side that can translate directly to the hunting side is so deep that I think a lot of people are missing that boat.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. Well, buddy.
And
go ahead. Go ahead.
One more thing, Jim. Don't be scared to shoot a competition. Guys, there's a lot of us that we started. Everybody's got to start somewhere. Don't be scared to go shoot a competition. Most of us are going to welcome you with open arms. We're going to have a damn good time. You're going to laugh your ass off. And at the end of it, you're going to be a better bow hunter.
You know what I worry about?
You don't have to win everything.
Maybe you can shed some light on this, dude. But when I think about a competition, I've never done one, so I think about it's not like I'm worried about how well I can or can't shoot. Because I understand that I'm long enough in the tooth. I know I'm going to screw up shots and whatever. It's more like, at a archery competition, it is the norm or the unwritten rule that you stand with your foot pointed this way or something like that.
Yeah, I get
Things
that.
I
understand
don't know.
That.
You know what I mean?
No, and the best thing I would say to that is most areas now are having like league nights, right? So like during the winter they'll have a Vegas league or a 5-spot league or couple league, whatever. Go shoot that one time if you're that nervous about it. They're going to walk you through all the rules of like indoor archery or 3D archery. It's really not that complicated. It's not complicated at all, honestly. And the reason why I try to push competitive archery with people as well is during the winter a lot of people don't do anything, right? Like we're in Idaho. It's tough. It's cold. You don't snow machine or ski. Really, you don't do a ton. Ice fishing maybe. But most of the time, it's dark by 5 o'clock. That's just when we start shooting indoor.
Yeah.
And you will be amazed. And people, I hear this all the time. It's 20 yards. What am I going to learn? You will be amazed at what indoor will do for your game. It will make you a better bow hunter, and you will feel nerves like you have never felt on an indoor line than you will feel anywhere else. It's a little bit more serious, yes, but it's in a time when really you're not doing anything. It's during the winter. Take one night a week and go shoot your hunting bow. There's a lot of times that I'll take my hunting bow to leagues and just shoot them. It's good to keep that going. But then during the summer, that's 3D time, and that's my baby. I'm a guy. I want to go outside. 20 yards is fun. I do it because there's nothing else to do in the winter. But I want to go outside. I want to shoot distance. I want to play with the wind, and because I'm a bow hunter.
Yeah,
exactly. I have learned more from shooting 3D competitions or tournaments or even just 3D shoots than I have ever learned hunting. And here's a perfect example of one. Again, back to another mule deer story. Had a buddy that had a really nice deer, nice solid 4-point, standing at 42 yards, and had a bush in between him and the mule deer at 20 yards covering the deer's vitals. And he didn't shoot. And I'm sitting behind him. I'm 200 yards behind him going, shoot, 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 shoot. He didn't shoot. I'm like, what? And so finally we meet up, and I'm like, dude, what the heck, man? Like, that was a gimme shot. Come on, man. And he's like, I couldn't see his vitals. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, to me, this is common knowledge in arrow arcs. it's going to clear that bush. All I got to do is aim at him. It's going to go right over the top of that, and I'm not even going to question it.
Yeah.
To somebody
true.
that doesn't shoot competitive, he's never even thought of that. He's never thought of where's my angle, where's my arrow arc at, how high is it right there, what's it? And that's something I have to do at almost every tournament I go to. And so that was another part of me that thought, man, this tournament archery is a huge thing when it comes to bow hunting, because he could have just killed the biggest deer of his life on a chip shot, and he had no idea he could even do it.
Huh.
So that was one thing. 3Ds will teach you angles. They'll teach you cuts. They'll teach you so much stuff that you just can't learn. I mean, let's be honest, Jim. We hunt our butts off to get one chance, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You're going to learn a ton on that one arrow, but I guarantee you I'm going to learn a lot more on the 700 arrows that I shot at 3Ds over the summer than that one arrow I shoot at an elk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's just what I would say. Just go out, shoot them. Most competition guys are going to welcome you in with open arms. We want more competition. It's just going to make it funner for us. And you're going to find that it's a lot of fun. It's just a lot of guys sitting around bullshitting and having a good time.
Well, let's wrap this up with one more question around this topic.
Yeah.
When Justin Huntsman goes into the woods for elk or deer or whatever with his bow, give me your bow setup and your arrow setup.
Okay, so I'm the kind of guy that from the target side, I like a longer axle bow. So I'm going to run anything between like a 33 axle to a 35-inch axle. It's just more stable for me. Now, I have a tiny draw length. 28 inches is my draw length, so I'm a little guy. So those guys that have the little draw lengths normally don't put the long bows on, but I just shoot them good. So that's just me. Anyways, back to it. Sorry. So I'm going to shoot long axle to axle. The biggest difference you're going to see between my hunting bow and most people's hunting bows is I run pretty long stabilizers. I run a 15-inch front bar and a 10-inch back bar. And then I get my quiver off any chance I get. My bow is tuned to shoot with the quiver if I need to, but I will take that thing off the second I get. I shoot a tight spot quiver just for that fact that they're easy to get off.
Yep.
Anybody will tell you the second you slap a quiver on the side of a bow, and I don't know how northern Idaho is, but down here it's always windy. All you're adding is a sail to the side of your bow. It's hard to shoot with that. As for sight, I like I run Excel stuff. I really like the Ranger pin. It's kind of a double single pin, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. And I love that because I can get the accuracy of a single pin, but I can also set my single pin at 20 and know my second pin's at 35, my bubble's at 50. So if I have to make a quick shot, a bull comes running in at 20 yards and spooks, and I calculate and stop him at 30, I know, okay, second pin just needs to be a little bit low and let it eat. That's my hunting setup. Arrow-wise, okay. I really like the eastern long ranges. I love little arrows, especially out here in the West. We got to have skinny arrows to combat the wind. And our setups out here are going to be a lot different than the stuff back east. You know, back east, their farthest shot is 40 yards. That's warming up for us.
Yep.
You know, I've killed elk at 7 yards, and I've killed animals a lot farther than that. That's just Western hunting. You've got to be ready for everything.
People driving around, dude, they're going to be listening to this. They're going to be like, what is the longest thing you've killed? Or what's the yardage, would you say?
Come I don't on, like to tell people because they get...
But you killed it, right?
I did, yeah. Okay. So I killed a mule deer, and again, I'm going to get freaking hate mail for this, and I probably shouldn't even say it, but I killed a mule deer a couple of years ago at 140 yards.
Holy cow, man! Are you serious?
Yeah. So, and then
I'm
shot
sending
him
you. I'm typing up a nasty email right now. Dear Justin, that is bullshit.
To be fair, he ran closer. I shot him at 100, and he ran closer. I shot him at 85, and all three arrows were in double lungs. So,
oh wow.
Again, not trying to brag. I should not have done it. It was stupid. It was a dumb shot. I should not have done it. Going back, I never would have. It honestly was one of those. I drew back and anchored in and was like, man, my pin is not moving, and the bow went off. It just kind of took over.
Yeah.
Which is great when I'm nervous, and not so great when I'm just like, I want to see if my pin's moving or not. But anyways, I would never recommend doing that. Please don't do that.
But you know what I meant, right? I mean, like when you say that, people are going to wonder what is the distance, and they're going to. So I have to ask.
And I get that. I understand that, and I am never going to be somebody that tells you that is too far. That is for the individual person to make their account. You know,
I totally agree.
I got into the long range shooting rifle competition, PRS stuff, a couple of years back before COVID and everything got so freaking expensive. and I loved it. It's a lot like archery. It's very technical. I dove in head first. I loved it. But I noticed right off the bat the negative side effect that comes with that long range hunting. There's a lot of people that do not like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into a pretty good argument with a guy one day that I said, well, what's the difference between me laying down and making a controlled shot at 1,000 yards and you popping a shot off at a running deer at 100?
Yeah.
He goes, well, I'm going to hit it. And I said, so am I. I said, the difference is I know where I'm going to hit. Do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one thing that I will never. It's so
goes
tough,
back.
man.
That goes back to what we were talking about initially. Like, you know, shooting a bull elk at 80 yards might not be my personal cup of tea, but I would never judge somebody else because I've seen him go down. And
100%.
and people are going to be like, oh, well, you're going to wound a lot. Okay, I've seen a lot of wounded elk never recovered within under 30 yards, under 20 yards. So don't give me that shit. It's just go ahead.
No, and one thing that I see with that too, and not to dive down this rabbit hole, and again, I don't want to come across as an arrogant ass, but I have people that'll tell you 80 yards is too far a shot. And I'm like, well, wait a second. I just shot a tighter group at 80 than you shot at 30.
Mm-hmm.
So why is mine unethical? Well, because of the flight of the arrow. Well, wait a second. At 80 yards, he's not going to hear my bow. He's probably not even going to have any idea I'm even close to him.
Yeah.
At 30 yards, they're going to hear your bow. They're going to know you're probably close because we all know they have that stupid sixth sense that I don't know what it is, but it always flares up.
They got
at
it,
the
man.
worst time.
They got it for sure.
So, but yeah, just again, back to that hunters being the worst friends of hunters. It's not for me to tell one person, listen, this is as far as you can shoot. You need to make your own ethical decision on that. And like I said, I'm probably going to get hate mail for that. But you know what? At the time, I was comfortable with that shot, and the shot went exactly where I needed it to do.
Yeah.
The buck died, and it was fun. It's something that's a fun story to tell people. Will I ever do it again? Absolutely not. I've cut myself off that unless I've got an arrow in them, my cutoff's 85 yards. But that's just me personally.
Mm-hmm.
I know buddies that I would 100%, if they said, hey, I'm going to shoot this elk at 110, I would say, go for it, I'll watch. They are good enough shooters and they are accomplished enough archers that they can make that shot. And I am not to tell them they can't. And I think if people would just learn that more, it would just make hunting a lot easier for everybody. It'd make us grow as a community together. Just quit this back and forth banner of I did it better this way, I did it better. And I'll be 100% honest with you. I've been guilty of that. Oh, cool, you killed it with a rifle. I've been cool to kill it with a bow.
We all have, yeah. We all have.
But if we just unite a little bit more, man, I really think, because I just see where it's going, and it's not getting better.
It's not ever going to
worse.
get better, guys.
Yeah.
Like hating the dude that pays $30,000 to go on a private ranch to kill a 400 class bull is not doing you or me or anybody any favors.
Well, let's be 100% honest, Jim. If me and you had that kind of money, we'd be setting up a hunt for September for me and you to go down there and hunt that same damn ranch.
Dude,
like anybody
totally
would.
I totally
absolutely
would. If I had,
like
my wife was like, she was like, what would you do if we won like the lottery or something? We don't buy a lot of lottery tickets, but every once in a while we'll buy one, just
oh yeah,
being goofy or whatever. Cause that's not a great retirement plan, but
but it's something to try.
It's kind of fun every once in a while.
Yeah, I get it.
And she's like, what would you do? I'm like, okay, there's a couple things. I would totally go hunt one of those crazy expensive elk ranches.
Oh,
I absolutely would.
Could you imagine the Hill Ranch? Oh my gosh!
Or the Deseret in Utah, or whatever those.
Dude, I grew up watching those Primos videos, like the Truth of Calling Hunting. I grew up watching those, and I 100%. If I could financially afford it, you bet I would hunt the Hill Ranch or any of those awesome ranches. Yeah,
I would, and I don't blame anybody that does it.
No, I don't either, but I get the greed. I understand that that rich jerk gets to go hunt that. I'm mad. I'm going to write a post about it. I understand that because I'm the same way. But it's stupid. It's dumb.
It's always that. It's always that thing. It's like I don't know. Actually, I'm not even going to try to attempt that because I'm not going to say it right. But yeah, jealousy can make you an ugly person. Let's just put it that way. And
it's so
there's
bad.
no reason. There's no reason because I could tell you if I had $30,000 to go blow on an elk hunt, I would do it 7 days a week, twice on Sunday, whatever. However, I will also say that the dude that goes out on his own over the counter on public land and notches a tag on a little raghorn has way more respect for me.
Oh,
than,
100%.
Than somebody that spent $30,000, right? I mean, there's just like no question with that. I don't think anybody would argue with that.
Oh, 100%. You're just like I am. If you work hard for it, that is going to bring more respect to me than anything. But on the same hand, I'm not going to tear down somebody for hunting.
Yeah.
Like, you're hunting, dude. You're on my team. You're on my side. But I agree with you 100%. You know, that guy that hikes his ass in there and kills that raghorn on public Idaho land, that is not easy. And anybody that says it's easy,
it doesn't even need to be a raghorn, man. If somebody goes into public land in central Montana or central Wyoming and they kill a spike or a cow, holy crap,
absolutely,
man. That dude is a stud. That lady is a stud. Whoever does it, you know, that's what it is all about. And that's what people need to stop being so shy about posting, because I know there's a lot of people that knock down a spike or knock down a nice-sized cow or whatever, and they don't even post about it because they're afraid of getting ripped apart because so-and-so spent $30,000 and has a 400 class bull if you keep scrolling. And you can see that, you know, and that is kind of what the problem is. Remember back in the day when the pictures were up on the board in the sporting goods store?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, remember how the way that those pictures are up on the board, because they're these physical things, there's no comment section for people to talk shit about each other. It was just, oh, cool, that guy got a spike. Oh, that girl got a raghorn. Oh, that guy got a big mule deer. Oh, look at this 14-year-old kid got a nice little forked horn muley. Yeah, you know, it was just, that's what social media should be. It is not a competition. Like shooting a big bull does not make you a bigger badass than somebody that shot a spike.
Exactly.
It just doesn't. Luck of the draw, you said earlier that there's a lot of luck involved with hunting. I tend to agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I don't care. I'm not that impressed. Unless you shoot a 300-plus class bull on public land DIY every single year, I'm not that impressed over the guy that shot a spike.
Well, and even then, I mean, you look at, there's those killers out there that are going to do that, and that's 100% legit. Like, I know a couple of them.
Not everybody's Cam Haines, man.
Exactly. But there's some of us out there that, I'll be 100% honest with you, if a 210-inch forked horn or raghorn or whatever stands in front of me broadside at 30 yards, he's probably going to catch an arrow because I like killing stuff.
Yeah, that's how I am, dude. I am not picky. I'm a little picky with deer. Other than that, no, I'm not picky.
And that's the same way. You know, mule deer, I'm a little bit more picky. I've been lucky enough to kill some pretty good bucks over the years, so now I can be a little bit more picky. But with elk, yeah, you put a bull in front of me, if he's close enough, he's probably going to catch an arrow because I like elk meat too.
Yep.
So, you know, it's this whole social media thing and you know, everybody acting like there's huge bulls or bucks around every corner. You know, it used to be, I was lucky enough, like when I was a kid, and my dad ran one of our sporting goods stores here in town. That's another reason why I got such a good start in archery, was my mom would drop me off after work. I'd punch the code in and get to shoot my bow until dad got off work.
Nice.
Or after school. Yeah. So it was awesome. But I can remember going up front and looking at the same board you're talking about and looking at them and seeing all these cool pictures and seeing these big deer. And it wasn't, I'm going to go kill one like that. It was, wow, they're still out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
That mentality is not the same anymore. It's, oh, if I don't kill a 200-incher, I'm not going to post it. It's like, guys, they are not everywhere. Like, you've got to go find them, and they're not everywhere. And if you kill a 110-inch deer, that's still a damn good deer.
Man, I mean, even my girls, I took my girls out last September for this little hunt we were doing, and this spike was he was just coming in like crazy, man. He was so excited because I was cow calling, and this he was a good spike for a spike.
Mm-hmm.
But if he would have given me a shot, man, there is no question in my mind that he would have ate an arrow, and I would have posted that all over the place just 100%. To spite all these dudes that think that you can't post small elk. I don't care.
Here's a perfect story for this, just a quick one. A couple of years ago, I was running a bear bait and took my son in one night. This was before he could hunt. He was probably 8 and had a young, I'm talking young, probably 2-year-old bear come in. Where we hunt down here, we're predator control. We're trying to help our elk and deer, right? So the second he came walking out, he was going to die. There was no questions, ifs, ands, or buts about it. My son was with me. That bear's going to die.
Yeah, you've never heard anybody like bitch about somebody shooting a small coyote, right? Like,
exactly.
It's predator control. Shoot them.
Exactly. So I killed this bear, put the video on Facebook. Cool video. I think it's awesome. And the first comment I get is, why'd you shoot that dink? And,
Yeah.
and the first comment I said back to him was, well, two reasons. Number one, I like elk. And number two, my son was with me. Yeah. And I will never shame anybody for killing anything.
No, me neither. Man. I hate stuff like that.
It's so tough. And I'm one of those guys, and I don't know how you are, but like for example, we just got draw results here in Idaho, right? And I don't draw anything in the state, but that's beside the point.
Me neither.
Yeah, I'm like legit. I'm 0 for 54. I've drawn one turkey tag in Idaho, and that's it my entire life. But beside the point, that's beside the point. My kids drew buck tags this year, which I'm super pumped about. It's going to be a fun hunt. I can't wait. My oldest boy and my oldest girl both drew the tag, so it's going to be a good time.
Nice.
But it was funny because my son has not spent any time like on social media or anything like that. And the first question he asked me was, "Dad, do I have to shoot a big buck?" And
really?
it kind of broke my heart a little bit, just because I don't want my kids to ever have that I have to kill something big. And I told him, absolutely not, son. If it's got a horn on its head and you want to kill it, we're going to kill it.
Yep.
And to see him light up like that, I just wish, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because I'm also the same person on the same hand saying, quit shooting every 2-point in Idaho because we're not growing big deer anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, there's that side of it. I mean,
yeah, but on that happy side, like if you guys go out and kill something, be proud of it. Like that's a lot of work. Killing stuff is not easy. Mm-hmm. Those critters are smart, so be proud of it. If there's things I could. Sorry, go ahead.
Unless you have a wildlife biologist literally telling you that it's actually legitimately doing studies on what affects, big deer, versus
100%.
what winter kill does. Don't tell me that killing a 2-point buck is destroying the, the class of all the big game. It's just I'm sorry. I have a legal tag. I'm with you on that, dude. I don't shoot spike or forked horn, whatever, mule deer. I'm chasing something bigger because I'm really good at deer hunting. Okay. And I don't mind. I'm not saying that from a braggadocious way. I've been doing it a long time. I'm really good at deer hunting. Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm going to up my game and I'm going to go for something a little bit bigger. But if somebody gives me shit because I took my daughters out and they shot a forked horn, they have no credibility with me. I'm sorry.
100%.
It's a legal tag, dude. Shut up.
And let me clarify what I meant a little bit more on that. Sorry, I probably should have clarified that. My issue with that
perfect, man.
Yeah, my issue with that is when I see somebody, hey, check out this 2-point, it's great, and then the very next post I see from them is there's no big deer in Idaho anymore. And it's like,
there is some hypocrisy with that for sure.
There's big deer. There's big deer in Idaho. You just got to go find them. But if you kill every 2-point, you're not going to get big deer. And that's my issue with it.
The 2 points are only the ones you find off your 4-wheeler, folks.
Exactly. Yeah. Get off the road. There's big deer everywhere. And we still have, I've been fortunate enough to kill some really good deer the last couple of years here in Idaho. And we still have, and these are all public land. Do it yourself. They're not hard hunts. It's just people don't want to get off their ass anymore.
No,
you have to work for it. It's not like it used to be where, we would see big deer from the road. You have to work for it. There's more hunters. There's less deer. It's just natural. We have to work for it harder. Yep. But there's still big deer out there. So, and I love them.
Well, cool, man. I love it. This is we're going to have to get you back on, man.
Yeah, man.
Tell everybody where they could find you. I know you're not super active on
I'm not. Media, I guess I'll have to get that stuff back up and running. But yeah, social media, just Justin Huntsman. If you're down here in Southeast Idaho or wherever, you'll probably see me at a shoot. Come up, say hi. I love bullshitting with people. And I'd be happy to help anybody.
What about give them your cell phone number and your email so that if they want to send you some hate mail.
Absolutely. They can send me hate mail all they want. That's one thing I'll never shy away from. You send it away and I'll have a conversation with you. It may end up in us both calling each other assholes and hanging up, but you know what? At least we had a conversation.
Yeah, no, there's something to be said for that for sure, buddy. Well, no, this really was. This was fun. It's so funny, man. I've been hitting you up for like over a year being like, dude, let's record a podcast. And then I don't actually schedule it or you didn't answer. Or
We've been busy, man. Yeah. It seems like every time we got it scheduled, something came up, whether it was, hunting or just something always seemed to happen. Mm-hmm. So it's good to finally get together. And this is fun. I really enjoy it.
I knew I was going to like you. Like you. So I really do. I think you'd be a great person to just kind of, have rotating through the whole lineup here on the Western Huntsman podcast. And
oh man, I'd be happy to do it.
Drop some wisdom, brother.
Yeah, it's been really fun. And like I said, guys, don't be hesitant. Go to your local shop. They'll help you out. We're all trying to help you out. I know I'm right there with you. That pride flares up and you don't want to ask for help, and I get it. But you're missing stuff that's going to make you a better bow hunter. And I want everybody to be a better bow hunter. I want guys to come tell me their success stories, not I gave up archery hunting after 4 years because I couldn't kill anything. I don't want that. So
yeah, I dig it, man. Do you want to plug the Huntsman's Golden business at all, or is that too busy?
It's kind of slowed down a bunch. Yeah, I'll be 100% honest with you. We're actually not breeding right now. COVID kind of flared up, and everybody saw that as kind of a money thing, and that was not what we ever started it for. It was more of something for my wife to do, and she really enjoyed it, and we enjoyed doing it. So we've actually gotten out of that for the most part.
Have you?
But yeah. There's a lot of good golden breeders around. Just make sure you do your research. A lot of people are breeding now, so make sure you do your research and find a reputable breeder. That's the one thing that I hate and my wife hates is backyard breeders. Go find those people that put the time in and find the dogs and do the testing and that kind of stuff and just do your research. That's all we can say. So,
I'm just saying, like, I know you guys, it sounds like you've slowed it way down and whatnot.
We have,
but I am going to need another one.
Absolutely, dude. When you do, let us know. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We'll keep in touch. My old timer's getting old, and the only way my heartbreak is going to ever recover is by getting a new pup. So
well, and like we always tell people, you don't replace them. You're just getting another one.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's not. No, that's what I'm saying. You never replace them.
No, and they're so much fun. And
nothing is better for a broken heart than a little pup. Absolutely.
I don't know. Absolutely.
So
well, man, this has been fun. I sure appreciate it.
Lots of fun, man. I really appreciate you coming on. Let's just stay in touch and do this again. And if I don't talk to you in the meantime, good luck this season. I'll be looking forward to kind of following along if you decide to jump back on social media. And we'll go from there, man.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure.
Thanks a bunch.
Yep, thank you.
You made it. That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you're following us on Instagram @TheWesternHuntsman and write us a good review at Apple Podcasts. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on the mountain.